Going a degree of separation from the Allman Brothers, I think another person that we need to talk about who's in the same vein of kind of the Duane Allman Brothers thing that didn't use any pedals at all and still doesn't to this day, to my knowledge, except for a Peterson Strobo Stomp, is Derek Trucks. Now, Derek Trucks has one of the most iconic slide tones, I think, of any guitar player alive, where it just sounds like
this is another.
If we could distill
Derek Trucks
the voice of an Etta James or some sort of 50s soul singer and put it inside of somebody's kind of vocal melodies that they produce with slide guitar, it would be Derek Trucks. And Derek just has an amazing tone, just so warm, so beautiful, so fat. And it's just either an Alessandro amp or for a long time was just a Fender Super Reverb and a Gibson SG and a slide.
I reacted
to
a lot of his
solos in order
too.
to create the signature sound that so many players are trying to emulate, whether that's on slide or even try to emulate some of that kind of vocal style in their solo playing if they're just playing, fretted with a regular guitar and no slide at all. I think Derek unquestionably is just has this amazing sound and doesn't require anything more than just the simple elements of guitar and amp. Let's listen to a little Derek Trucks and hear what he's bringing to the table without any pedals.
I reacted to that one, I think. This is the one I reacted to. A version of this. I thought that was pedal. It's crazy. It's not, no pedal.
Now I want to move into a little bit more classic rock and roll, and I think that one of the quintessential players that just had so many iconic parts but also wasn't using pedals, maybe if they were using effects was just from the amp, whether that be tremolo or maybe some reverb, but mostly just an amp sound, is Keith Richards. And whether we're talking about a Telly into a tweed Bassman or a Tweed Deluxe or some other sort of Fender, it's always a very just rootsy sort of sound.
Just didn't even mess with it once he could get it.
And whether we're talking about, Give Me Shelter or we're talking about Start Me Up, it's just a simple guitar into an amplifier, getting it nice and crunchy, and getting some really, really beautiful parts out of those that have really stuck with all of us. Whether we're at a baseball game or a party, we're invariably going to hear some Stone songs that have some of these classic riffs on there, and they're super abbreviated.
Definitely going to hear Start It Up, for sure.
And just coming up with a great part, and that's all that it takes. They really, really sound amazing. So let's listen to a little Rolling Stones here. Keith Richards bring out some of those tones that we all know and love that are just super simple, no extra pedals, just the guitar and amp.
Now I don't want you to cut it off. I don't want you to cut it off. Shit.
Another guitar player that wasn't using pedals at all and relying primarily on the tone of his amp and guitar was none other than the brother of Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimmy Vaughan. Now, Jimmy did a great job of sort of fusing blues and a little rockabilly and had just an amazing sound that he was able to create with just a guitar and amplifier. A lot of times just using kind of tweed era Fenders and a 50s era Stratocaster, and absolutely sounded amazing. And although he was fairly dissimilar from his brother Stevie, he still brought something unique to the table and really didn't sound anything like his brother. His whole approach to the instrument was very different.
I never really dove into a lot of Jimmy Vaughan.
Cleaner, more quacky,
so this is
really,
new
really
information
beautiful stuff, whether we're talking
I
about
never really
rhythm
got to
guitar or
like
we're talking about lead tones. And I absolutely love Jimmy Vaughan and what he brings to the table. I feel like he, in many ways, is just as important to guitar as Stevie Ray Vaughan, but is often not evangelized in the same way that Stevie Ray Vaughan's tone was. Again, it was much more simple. The songs were kind of fundamentally different than what Stevie Ray was going after, but so important to the sound of guitar music. Absolutely wonderful player, absolutely amazing tones, and again, mostly just a 50s era Strat into a tweed Bassman or some other sort of tweed Fender amplifier. It sounds absolutely insane. Let's listen to a little Jimmy Vaughan. Let's hear what he's bringing to the table.
All right, Jimmy. gonna have to dig into your catalog. What? Do work. I've been asleep. Vertex just woke me up.
Let's go to
Vertex
one
just
more
woke me
player.
up.
And again,
I didn't know.
this
I
is
was
just a
asleep.
small list of many
I
that
didn't
got
know.
amazing tones
I
that was
missed his
just
brother.
using a guitar and amplifier, and that's none other than Angus Young from AC/DC. And I think a lot of us
I haven't gotten too
starting
much
off learning
AC/DC
guitar, we
either,
definitely want to
so
learn those
few
AC/DC
songs here
licks, some
and
of those
there.
signature rock and roll licks that Angus Young came up with for a lot of the great AC/DC solos. Now you could say that he was using a wireless, which informs some of the sound, and there now are pedals that represent sort of what the preamp in that wireless unit did. But at the time, it wasn't really thought of anything more than just a way to be able to get the guitar cableless and be able to walk around stage and be able to get, you know, the performance elements of a live band and all the interactions they have with the crowd and not have to be tied to your amplifier by way of a cord. So I'm not really counting the wireless unit that a lot of people attribute as part of the sound of Angus Young to being a pedal. I think this was just a function of what was available at the time. He used it. It was part of the performance for them to walk around the stage. And so really, all in all, whether we're talking about studio Angus
Is that the
Young
dude that be
tones,
running
I know
around?
that
Because
there's
I watched
some
one of
more about
the.
him using a wireless.
Is that the dude that be running all crazy on the stage? I watched one of their live performances. I don't do a lot of AC/DC because they get blocked on YouTube heavily, like AC/DC, Eagles, a lot of Led Zeppelin. You ain't getting much reactions of those because if you do get a reaction, it's gonna be chopped every 5 to 10 seconds because they are block city for sure. But it was one. It must be him. He was going crazy on the stage, like he was all over the place on the
In the
stage for
studio.
real.
I think on some of the earlier albums that was not true, and it's just an amazing tone. And even, you know, guys like Mutt Lange who produced them wanted them to have that raw, unencumbered, you know, guitar into amplifier sound, and all those rhythm tones that Angus Young came up with, all of the lead tones, are absolutely insanely good and super simple. Guitar straight into amp, nothing more. Let's listen to a little bit of Angus Young and AC/DC.
Yeah, that's him, man. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, he needed a wireless. Look at him, bro. He need a wireless, dog. He don't sit still at all. He the complete opposite of the dude from the Angels. He the complete opposite.
So those were several guitar.
He's like the yin and the yang because they got a dude from the Angels. He played just as nasty with the bars, but he stands stiff as a goddamn mannequin. Doesn't move. He doesn't stop. He doesn't stop moving. It's crazy.
Players that got amazing tones and famously were not users of any pedals, sort of the antithesis of
You
what
put me
we talk
on
about every
Jimmy
week on
Vaughn.
this channel.
I didn't know the
And I'm really
Allman
glad that we
Brothers.
got
I
a chance
didn't
to
know
celebrate
Trucks
some of these
didn't
guitar
do it.
players,
Derek
talk about them
Trucks.
and their music and what they are.
Okay. But yeah, Robert Cray, B.B. King, I'm not really surprised. They early key makers of guitar riffs and sounds and licks that are recreated till this day. So they just didn't have the tools and resources. So I'm not really surprised. But that fucking Allman Brothers and Dickie Betts and Derek Trucks, I would have thought they had pedals on that ground and they was manipulating their sounds like that, because the way, just go listen to their music, bro. Like the way they play that shit, you will believe they do. And I wasn't aware of Stevie Ray Vaughan's brother. I knew he had a brother that played because I think I reacted to one of their songs that they played together, or it might have been the son. I don't know, but I never really went into his brother catalog at all. But hearing that, just that snippet on this video, I might be asleep. I might have to wake up and go check him out. But yeah, a few of those like great surprises, because just listening to a lot of the Allman Brothers and Derek Truck solos, it's like, man, You would think pedals are in the building, and they are not. It's just godly hands.